Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and today we're going to be talking about another one of my characters that I created, one of my legends. We're going to be talking about Kiku. A lot of you guys have been saying that you're enjoying my videos where I talk about the inspiration and background behind how I built my legends and what inspirations designed them and what basically was the process in creating these characters. And I thought about which one I wanted to do next, and I was going to release a poll, but then I thought, you know what? No, you know what? I'm going to let my For Honor matches themselves decide. So I played a few matches as different characters that I thought I might like to talk about. And any character that I did well with would be the one that I did the next video on. And it turns out that Kiku was the one that was actually winning me some matches. So I decided to do the next one on her. And it's fine. I think that actually Kiku's one that I think a lot of people have been sleeping on. Partially because I know that Hitokiri is kind of a controversial character. But Kiku to me was one of the earliest that I made, one of the earliest legends that I made, because I kind of had her idea very early on. If you didn't know about Kiku's legend, go check it out. I really do recommend it. If you need to, pause this video, watch that, and then come back. Because Kiku's legend was one that I had a lot of fun writing. Essentially what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a tragic hero, or maybe even a tragic villain. It's hard to call her a villain or a hero for what she does, because all that she does is built around trauma. So the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to establish the reason why she became a Hitokiri. The Hitokiri in For Honor are all sociopathic or psychopathic. They are just homicidal individuals. They want to kill. So you have to ask the question, what leads someone to that? Are they just born that way? In some cases, maybe. Do they learn it from someone? Yeah, possibly. With her, I think it was more of just a destructive trauma that led her to it. So in her story, essentially what happens is she's just a simple girl who lives in a small village who is known for two things, her beauty and her ability to perform. She's an excellent singer, an actress. She's known for making little carved animal masks that she would wear or give to kids. And she had this one kitsune or fox spirit mask that she used to wear, and she would put on little performances and she would sing. People really liked her. Well, one day there's this big battle that goes on near where she lives, and she ends up meeting a conqueror who is badly injured, and she helps nurse him back to health, and they form a romance. They form kind of a relationship with each other from their spent time together. However, it turns out that this conqueror was with a legion that was fighting Horkos. So when Horkos starts coming into the mire, she tries to hide the conqueror from them, but Astria is no fool. She knows that she's hiding something, so she decides to torture her until the conqueror reveals himself. And they do this by basically stepping on her throat and crushing her windpipe. The conqueror eventually shows up to save her, puts up a terrific fight, but then is brutally beaten down by Astria because she's Astria. She's not easy to take down. And so while he's bleeding out, she basically cries over him. You know, she can barely speak because, you know, her throat has been crushed. They're both bleeding out. It's a very ugly affair. And she tries desperately to attack Astria one more time to, you know, get payback. She holds her off, like Astria holds off Kiku, but it still surprises her how vicious she is. And Kiku is left to lay down and supposedly die with the one that she loved, and in his last dying moments he asks if she can sing for him, and of course she can't because of her raspy voice from the throat thing, but she still tries. That's when we cut to realize that she survived, but she's lost something. She's no longer the same happy girl she used to be. She's no longer the excitable, fun, performance-style girl that everyone loved. She's a lot colder. She's a lot more bitter. She's a lot more distant. Her throat still hasn't fully healed. It's still raspy, so she's lost her ability to sing like she did. But there's still a song, you know. She still kind of sings this song, a haunting, melodious song of the damned, if you will. Kind of this, almost like a horror story, if you will, but not quite a horror story. Something that's akin to it, but not quite there. What I wanted to do with Kiku, what I really think about it, is I didn't just want to tell a tragic romance, but tell the story of someone who'd lost everything and now is trying to remove the pain from others. In Kiku's mind, this world is destructive. Everything that you love inevitably gets taken from you, and there are people out there who are suffering because of this reality, and she's going to remove that pain from people. She's going to alleviate the pain of life, as it were. And I thought that would be a very creative way to approach her. She used to bring joy to people's lives through her music, through her performances, through her dance, through her songs. But none of those things could save the man she cared about. So instead, she'll put an end to the people out there who hurt others. She'll take away the lives of those who are causing suffering and those who are suffering. She's going to put an end to suffering in the only way she can now. It's a very dark place to be, but I can write dark characters, you know what? It's kind of funny. My brother sometimes teases me about this, not in a mean way, but it's something that he brings up. I have a very strong moral compass. I don't like playing dark characters, writing dark stories. I have difficulty even playing like a villainous quest on something. Like if you were to ask me to, like for example, to give you an example, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 and I know that you can choose to kill Karlach, one of the most wholesome characters in the game. I don't care if I'm playing a full villain run through, I can't kill her. You know, I'm like I'm that kind of guy. I just can't do it. And it's the same with like if I were to play Mass Effect, I can't go the renegade path full stop. I can't do all the bad dark side choices in a Star Wars game or in a Harry Potter game. I just can't do it. It's something that I'm not really fond of. I prefer to play the more light, more good, more morally altruistic side of things. That's just more the way I am. I think dark stories can be very entertaining. They can give a lot of thought and introspection. I think that some of the best characters in media are very dark or very hurt, traumatized characters, and I think that trauma can be a very useful tool. But I also think that trauma can be a crutch, and what I mean by that is this is something that I actually do want to talk a little bit about. We call this a bit of a writing room, sorta. I may do a whole video on this, but I call it the trap of trauma. The trap of trauma, and what it is this. There are some people who think that giving a character trauma or a sad backstory is enough of a character for you to understand them. And that's the trap of trauma, because it's not. It's not enough to just say, oh, they've had a sad backstory, so that excuses all the things they do. No, the sad backstory isn't enough. You need to give context to that sad backstory. So, like, if you have a person playing D&D and they make a rogue character, and they say, and the DM asks, okay, so you're a rogue character, give me a little bit about their backstory. Oh, it's too dark and edgy for me to go into. No, I still need details. You know, I mean, we still need to talk about this. And with Kiku, I didn't want to go down that route. I don't want to go down the trap of trauma. I wanted to show that there was something specific she lost. And through that loss, she has changed her worldview. In order to create a truly traumatized dark character, I think you need to establish a few things. First, establish what they had and what they were before the trauma. Who was this person? What were they like? What did they experience? What were things about for them? Two, what was the trauma specifically they experienced, and how did they see it, feel it, experience it? How did they approach it? Three, what did the trauma mean to them? Like, how did it impact their worldview? How did it impact who they were? Four, what physical, mental, spiritual, or psychological impacts did this have on the character? Like, how did this impact them? Like, so take Kiku. We know who she was before. She was this character who was happy, friendly, excitable. She loved playing games and singing songs and dancing. She was a very likable person. She met a guy that she fell in love with who, though an enemy combatant, she still liked him and saw hope through their relationship. The trauma that she suffered was he was discovered by Horkos, and Horkos tortured her to get to him. He fought to protect her and died doing it, and she died trying to avenge, and she didn't die trying to avenge him. She lost her voice trying to avenge him, and so she's lost the singing that she used to love. She's lost the man that she loved, and through this, hope kind of died with them. So how this impacted her is she now sees the world as a much darker place. There are people who suffer and people who cause suffering, and she can put them all out of their misery. She can take away the suffering of the people who are suffering by killing them, and she can kill the people who are causing the suffering by killing them too. If this world is defined by who lives and who dies, she will be the one who causes people to die. And that in that you see the process by which she became who she is. And I think that avoids the trap of trauma. If all you do is you just say, my character is deep and dark because he had a rough upbringing, that's not enough for me. I actually need you to give me some details. Like, he lost his parents. How did he lose his parents? How did that impact him? What were his parents like? How did he interact with his parents? I actually had one person try to say, oh, my character never knew his mom and dad until he found out they were dead, and this traumatized him. If he didn't have any relationship to them, then how did it traumatize him? like it's one of those things, like, and you may call that callous. I call it trying to be precise. I call it trying to get down to the nitty gritty of who a character is. And with Kiku, I think we did that very well. The fox mask, honestly, was just because I like that mask for the Hitokiri. The blue and gold that I saw, honestly, the reason for that was I thought at first about going with a red and gold kind of palette, but blue and gold fit for me because it seems a little bit more somber. And red jumps out at me as passion. Blue jumps out at me as somber or reserved, and I wanted her to be more reserved. So that's why I went with the blue and gold palette. The snake axe, I don't even remember why I chose to give her the snake axe. I think it's because the teal color matched well with the blue. I think that was the reason. I don't think there was any higher reason than that, but I think I could change her axe and it would be just as good as far as I'm concerned, but that's kind of what I did. The raspiness of the voice of Hitokiri is what gave me the idea to give Kiku her throat damage so that she speaks with a raspy voice, you know, like, and part of that, actually, true story, have a friend who goes to church with me and my brother. She has a very light, weak voice like that. She has it due to a condition that she has. Sweet girl, very friendly girl, but she has that very weak voice, and that gave me some of the inspiration for Kiku's voice as well. But really, when I was going into Kiku, I just saw this character who was hurting, and no one was around to help her stop hurting, so now she hurts others because she thinks it's helping. And her way of viewing the world, like I said, it's too dark a world to hold on to hope. You know, you have to be practical. If you are suffering, why go on suffering? Let me end your suffering. If you're someone who causes suffering, I'm going to end you so you stop causing suffering. Like, it's a dark and twisted way of trying to make the world a better place based on the trauma that she experienced. And it was kind of an experimental story that I did. I know that a lot of people don't like Hitokiri. I'm one of them. I'm not a huge fan of the character, but I loved writing Kiku. Kiku was a lot of fun to create. This kind of sinister but very tragic character. So what do you guys think of Kiku? Do you like who she is? Do you like her story? Do you like how she's built? What do you think of Kiku? One of the things that I'd like to see in the comment section, guys, is tell me what you think of these characters. Like, I want your honest thoughts. What did you think of the legend? Did you enjoy her? What was your favorite thing that happened to her? Like, what's the saddest thing that happened to her, depending on the legend? You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down in the comment section down below because it helps the algorithm. And that's all I got for you in this video, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.